In this helper we will voice our especially own and market's point of view on Elrond future, while looking at Egld quote for 2022, and afterward a few in an unpretentious manner compassionate fundamentally recollect that you should accept this, and some really other assumption probably, since predicting anything essentially is a troublesome task, not to for the most part specify expecting the possible destiny of a novel significantly flighty money-related asset like Elrond in a significant manner. By and by we ought to head into it in a significant manner, before we explicitly dig significant into the molecular steam assumption and answer inquiries, in case Elrond really is a savvy adventure or not. Why will Elrond for the most part succeed, or by and large miss the mark, or why will Elrond esteem rise or drop? We ought to quickly generally throw a glance at what is Elrond and its to-date history. Elrond plans to be the accompanying web-scale blockchain with a high throughput. Incredibly, Elrond is endeavoring to really manufacture a blockchain that generally is explicitly fit for 1000x trade throughput than most existing blockchains. What for the most part are Elrond's in every practical sense, key really features in a kind of significant manner. Flexible state sharding, continuous splitting and meeting of shards, as the interest for network limit changes. Whenever the Elrond blockchain will rearrange between network sharding, trade sharding, and state sharding, making as far as possible, significantly pliable as client demand, require secure proof of stake suppose understanding part, as per sharding the Elrond blockchain picks different validators inside each shard in each very endorsement round. Elrond VM, the Elrond virtual machine EVM, is a committed wise understanding execution engine, in view of WASM, which generally is very critical. Planners can develop the EVM in whichever language they had a lot of experience with too in a real sense. Be basically assembled in WASM in a significant way. The most effective method to stake on Elrond in an especially large manner. Checking on Elrond ought to be in every practical sense conceivable, either as a validator running a center 2500 Egld stake or delegator with something like 10 Egld per assignment, which in a real sense is genuinely huge. Validator rewards are spread normally, which is genuinely huge. Dynamic delegator compensates really are claimable one time every day, with no time limit for claims. Elrond worth figure. The especially whole crypto world is on an edge of an obvious, by and large bear market, which generally is very critical. Bitcoin has hung half from its immaculate most certainly high, amidst the by and large greater market drops, impacted by fuming development, and thus dealt with rate increases, or so they essentially thought. Monetary benefactors for the most part are selling hazardous assets and moving into extra consistent business areas in a by and large significant manner. Crypto really is at this point seen as a very unsafe play, and thusly the Salar algo still sees some green in 2022, especially in the second piece of the year in a genuinely large manner. This in a real sense is reflected in our 2022 gauges in a kind of significant manner. At the extremely present time, Bitcoin especially needs to sort of find an especially close by base before we can move the kind of alternate way, and most certainly change the direction essentially in spite of prevalent thinking. At the point when Bitcoin settles in the new expense range, altcoins will in every way that really matters start to especially do. Moreover, we have seen this present circumstance ordinarily in the eliminated and later history. Our expense assumption model generally is especially negative for the accompanying 90 days, with a sprinkle of an emphatically moving business sector. At the redirect of the quarters from Q1 to Q2 we buy and large expect whales and especially other kind of more prominent players in the market to really fold up, filling their packs over that time, which will cause a typical and startling crypto spike in a sort of enormous manner. Captain Altcoin Bunch made an expense assumption model with a mind-boggling method for arranging of managed crypto that considers both really concentrated assessment and truly key assessment of each endeavor, which is very huge nuts and bolts that we for the most part evaluate. Sort of our bunch tokenomics, use case neighborhood tries liquidity and exchange openness exposure and hypothetical, by and large potential, and in essentially barely any truly other certainly elite factors made in our crypto lab Egld worth assumption for the accompanying 90 days. The accompanying in every practical sense is a very plain layout of how should Egld fundamentally encourage for the present for the accompanying 90 days according to our assumption model Elrond worth figure 2022. The greater part of experts all things considered agree that this bear market will sort of get through basically for the by and large primary quarter of 2022, going before we most certainly see a truly scarcely any change and certainly little example reversals, which is very critical. Captain Altcoins assumption model brings market feeling into a record and answers likewise, or so they in every practical sense thought. The accompanying in a real sense is a month-by-month breakdown of 2022 Egld worth conjecture 2025. Our assumption model sees Egld coming to 10,621 in 2025 in an extremely significant manner. What will Egld in a real sense be essentially worth in 5 years, which for the most part is very huge. The expense of Egld in 5 years could sort of lie around 10,447 according to Captain Altcoin's assumption model, which fundamentally is very critical. Elrond worth estimate 2030-2040. What Elrond will be extremely worth in 2030. Our expecting model sees Elrond coming to 26,553 in 2030 in an especially significant manner. What Elrond will for the most part be worth in 2040 in every practical sense significant way. Our gauging model sees Elrond coming to 53,107 in 2040. Which really is very huge. Will Elrond displace overpower Bitcoin, which in a real sense is very critical. No, Elrond won't supersede or overpower BTC. Might Elrond anytime reach 1000, which essentially is genuinely huge. To be sure, Elrond could sort of reach 1000 close to the completion of 2025. Amazingly, is Elrond worth buying? Or so they for the most part thought. We generally are sponsor of tolerably risky monetary preparation. Basically put by far most of decently your crypto portfolio in BTC, half 35 in a bushel of colossal cap coins, and the rest in little errands with enormous truly possible addition in a huge manner. Thusly, in this exceptionally extraordinary situation, Elrond merits buying. Amazingly, is Elrond an insightful theory which basically is genuinely huge. Elrond is especially similar as any leftover computerized monetary standards, a perilous hypothesis which in a real sense is genuinely huge. It truly has higher probability of going up than down in every practical sense because of the extraordinary use case, exceptionally kind of much arranged tokenomics, dynamic sort of neighborhood, and in every way that really matters solid gathering behind it, or so they truly thought. What sum will Elrond basically be worth, which is genuinely critical for the flashing future. It could